Hi everyone, I'm Marla Miller with MarketingTheMuse.com here at the Writer Magazine, offering a series that we're calling Critique My Query. It's similar to one that I offer at Marketing the Muse, and it replicates a real-time workshop that I have been doing at writers' conferences for quite a long time now. In fact, that's how I began my association years ago with Elfrida Abbey, who is the publisher of the Writer Magazine. We met at a writers' conference. What I offer at Marketing the Muse is called Quick Query Critique, and what we do is we listen for speed bumps. We listen for portions of the query letter that make us go, huh? And so that's essentially what we're doing here at the Writer Magazine. You have been very kind. You've sent me lots of query letters. I really appreciate that. As I said last week in our inaugural session, that I would be rotating fiction and nonfiction. So last week it was fiction, this week it'll be nonfiction, and I will just pull from the stack in that order. So I don't want to waste any more time because these are supposed to be quick. This is not long and in-depth. It's, again, we're listening for speed bumps, so I want to get right into this one. This is nonfiction. It's a memoir. Okay. Dear, please allow me the next few minutes of your time to tell you about my book and my vision for what comes next. As I write to you now, the offer of my manuscript, subject to an agreement regarding representation, is exclusive. I do hope that you will recognize the current and future potential of my work, and I will have no need to contact other agents. I'm an American businesswoman currently living in Singapore. Prior to landing in Southeast Asia, I lived and worked in Europe for 6 years in the IT industry. Initially, my U.S. firm sent me to Germany on a one-year assignment. Once that was complete, I went to work in the Netherlands, the UK, Italy, and France. This book details my experience of life abroad and how difficult it can be to crack the cultural code of foreign business. I took for granted that the American way of doing business was universal and learned the hard way that nothing could be further from the truth. For years, I searched high and low for a book I have now written myself. There are a glut of how to live abroad books in the marketplace, but they only describe the practicalities and logistics of a move, not the real-life screwball situations you will encounter. My story takes place in one of the most prestigious consulting firms in the world with a backdrop of some of Europe's most glamorous capitals. I guarantee that nothing like my memoir, Female Adventures in International Business, it exists in print today. It is part travelogue, part international business textbook, and part love story, all told with good laughs at my expense. Everywhere I go, professional women relate to this topic. They are hungry for it and immediately recognize the need for this book to become available. I've spoken with groups of women in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore and found that all of our stories are similar. I have no intention of excluding men. It is simply my experience that women are quick to grasp the concept and relate. If you don't take my word about the relevance of the culture in today's global society, consider the remark made by Malcolm Gladwell in his recent bestseller, Outliers. Who we are cannot be separated from where we're from. And when we ignore that fact, planes crash. My story is exactly that, a cautionary tale to others that they ignore culture at their own peril, as I initially did. Now that I've finished my European tale, it is my intention to follow that up with a goldmine of stories that I've collected in Asia Pacific. She names all the countries. I have also been told that there is a demand for a blog on my experiences that I intend to start in September 2010. It would be my pleasure to send you the manuscript for review, either in hard copy or electronic format. As my first choice of agent, I will be pleased to collaborate with you, and I await your reply. Sincerely. Okay. A couple of things. The next time I do this, I will make sure that my telephone is off the hook. Sorry about that, for those of you who heard it. Okay. Right off the bat, here's what I want to tell you about this query letter. I had to wait until paragraph 3 to find out the title of this book, and that is a no. You want to put your title up front, and then you want to bleed it through a query letter, so that hopefully that title has such resonance that by the end, the agent is saying, that's a good title. Okay? So absolutely get that title further up front. Second, and this is again just in terms of formatting, I would just absolutely X out that first paragraph altogether. Number one, it takes up a lot of words that can be taken up by telling this story, and it also hints of this author wanting to discuss business as much as she wants to discuss the literary quality of her work. And at this point, I understand that she's a businesswoman, and so she wants to know what the deal is going to look like. But until you get a deal, there is no deal. So I would hold all of that off until an agent calls you and says, I want to talk to you about my book. Then you can talk turkey. And but not until then. And besides that, it's taking up at least 50 words that really doesn't advance your cause at all. Okay. When I read this query letter, and I read it, this was my fourth time, because remember, we're listening for speed bumps. In my real-time workshop, that's what we do. We read it, we listen for speed bumps, stuff that pulls us out of the story, and that's all we do. That's all the intention of this particular critique is, to listen for speed bumps that make us go, huh? So what I often ask people is, what's the story about? Well, in this particular case, and again, I'm watching time, in this particular case, we know that the story is going to be part travelogue, part business manuscript, and part love story. But we don't know really much of anything else, except that this author is a very well-traveled businesswoman. So when I first read this query letter, and this author is not going to like this, but the phrase that came to mind was lots of sizzle, very little steak. And that is fairly characteristic of people who don't spend a lot of time writing query letters. The purpose of a query letter is to show, don't tell. And in this query letter, and again, it's posted on the site, so I didn't say that at the beginning, but read along with me. In this query letter, this author spends a lot of time telling us what this book is going to be about, and that there is a need for this book. And I don't disagree with that at all, but I still don't know what this book is about. I will tell you this, that as I was reading, I thought of Eat, Pray, Love, because her book is also part travelogue, part love story, part transformative, you know. I don't know any more than that. I would encourage this author to spend some time looking at this query letter, pulling out all the sentences that actually describe the content. Now, she says she has this book written, so she should be able to distill this book, or at least take a chunk of it and framework that into a paragraph that hooks us. At this point, I don't know what it looks like. I have no idea. I know that this is a woman who went to Europe thinking that she could apply American principles to European ways. Frankly, I was surprised by that. I would have thought that an international business person would have been schooled about that our way isn't the only way. So that kind of, I wondered about that, and an agent might too, in terms of why was this author so surprised that things were so different. So if in fact they were different, then open this book up with maybe a scene of how different it was. In any event, I think that this author has a lot to do. I don't doubt her credentials for a minute. I don't doubt that a book like this might sell. I just don't know what it's about yet, except that it's a three-part travel, love story, and business manuscript. And beyond that, I don't know. I welcome this author to rewrite and resubmit. Writing is rewriting, and we all learn. Until then, I ask you to keep sending me your queries. And again, you nonfiction authors, get them in. And if I don't get enough nonfiction, you know, we'll handle what we have, because we want to take care of all of you. Until the next time, thank you for clicking in to critique my query, and visit often.